What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. It's another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. TLC 2019 is right around the corner on this Sunday, so we are going to be giving our predictions and running down the card, talking about any spoilers we might know, any thoughts on the rest of the lineup that we haven't figured out yet, and everything else that we usually do here. Who are we? I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and as always, I'm joined by your other hosts. We've got Callum Wiggins.
Yep.
And Robert DeFelice.
I am other host number 2.
Other host number 3, Barry, not in the room right now, but I'm sure he'll be back. So, as always, we would like to invite everybody to chime in with their own thoughts. So, by all means, hop on over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button while you're there, like the video as well, ring that little bell for the notifications, drop a comment below and tell us your thoughts on TLC and your thoughts on our thoughts on TLC and anything else that you want to talk about. If you are on the audio-only platforms like Google Play, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, whatever it is, leave a rating over there. Again, hop on over to YouTube or go to the page on smarkoutmoment.com because that's another way where you can leave your comments. Can't really do it on the audio-only things. So, let's dive into this with the very first thing that we should address, which is missing matches. Right now, we currently have, I believe it's 7 matches on the card. Let me just double check real quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 confirmed matches. One of them is still a TBA as far as one of the opponents, but we're still missing a lot of people. And there's a chance that by the time we get to SmackDown that they announce something, at least one more match, maybe 2 more, depending on how much they really want to do. And nothing's been confirmed for the kickoff yet, so usually they like to add at least 1 match to that, and that could be maybe the one and only match that they add. Maybe they add some other stuff. Kind of depends on the way that they want to break down the time frame of this, but I guess before we start trying to guess what things are going to be added, let's just pinpoint some of the obvious ones that aren't being added. No way in hell Brock Lesnar does anything on this card. So there goes the WWE Championship. I don't think any of us are surprised about that.
Well, Brock Lesnar did a lot this year. He worked 8 pay-per-views, and I think he's done enough that, hey, listen, you can skip TLC. I don't feel offended by that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you would expect. So save him for the big shows.
Even if he would have only done 3 things this entire year, I wouldn't have expected him to be on this card because he never is. So that's not surprising. What is surprising to me, though, nothing going on with the SmackDown Women's Championship yet. It's almost like they purposely went with Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks as this feud to push Bayley off on the side. And I'm wondering if their game plan is to do Bayley and Evans at the Royal Rumble, and they don't want to do it here at TLC. They just want to, this is going to be something I'm going to use a lot here. Stretch, stall, drag, whatever the synonym you want to use. A lot about TLC feels to me like they're looking at this and going, look, let's just get through December. We don't really care. Let's do what we can to be the littlest amount of work possible. Let's drag something out for an extra month. And if we didn't have December, that the creative would be exactly the same, just without missing gaps. I'm really feeling like Bayley and Evans is not happening here.
I think you're overthinking it here. I think it happens. They're just going to book it on Friday. She'll beat Sasha on Friday, and they'll book it last second.
I don't know whether she'll beat Sasha, but they'll book the match probably. And it'll just be a throwaway singles match. You won't have any stipulation attached to it. It'll end in a fuck finish when Sasha gets involved, and then that's how they'll stretch it out to the Royal Rumble.
See, I don't even give them enough credit for that. I think that they're going to go out of their way to be like, all right, and we just decided that we're going to announce this for the kickoff or maybe just for the regular card. Lacey Evans is going to get her chance to fight back against Sasha Banks or whatever. It's going to be Banks and Levins, and Bailey's going to be in Banks' corner, and it's just going to be like, we're really just adding a match. Like, it's not even going to be like a technical, like, number one contenders match or something. I'm really expecting very little. And that's disappointing, because I think that it's pretty easy to do stuff that they haven't done. Like, I know that some people have tweeted me quite a bit about the idea that, like, why isn't Carmella fighting Bailey? And it's like, well, I don't know. Like, she should be.
And some people tweeted me quite a lot as well. I actually had said this match has to happen before they get to the what I feel is the inevitable Sasha Bailey WrestleMania match, right?
I still don't even feel like that's a guarantee.
I mean, listen, they feuded last year or the year before that for like 6 months and never fought on pay-per-view, so who really knows? But I think it'd be a good way to go for Mania. I think Lacey gets the match here and then maybe gets a rematch at the Rumble if they don't have Carmella at the Rumble. And then we can kind of settle into sowing the seeds of tension, because they can definitely get away with at Fastlane or something doing Banks Bailey versus the women's tag team champions.
Well, they're actually, at least as far as the current lineup goes, there isn't Fastlane.
So Elimination Chamber, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they can waste a pay-per-view by doing Banks Bailey against the women's tag team champions.
That also depends, of course, on what the Elimination Chamber setup is, because you would assume that there would be 2 Elimination Chamber matches, one for the men, one for the women. And sometimes in the past, they've done it where the Elimination Chamber match is somebody defending a championship, and sometimes it's been to determine the number one contender. This time around, they don't have Fastlane, so they don't have to worry about sort of splitting the difference. And I'm really hoping that what they do is the man and the woman who win the Royal Rumbles, they go off and they do something else at Elimination Chamber, and the 2 chamber matches are for the number one contender spot. I'd like that so much more. It makes so much more sense to me. But I really feel like they don't have a game plan for a lot of WrestleMania right now, Bailey being one of them. I don't know if she's going to go in as champion. I don't know if she's going to have any particular number one contender that they've got in mind, or swap the title to somebody else or anything like that. And I'm leaning more towards the idea that unless they announce something ahead of time for SmackDown, right now we have nothing. We have like, hey, Roman Reigns will be there, which is like, okay, you're still writing the script. Probably going to do that until Friday. And getting more and more and more worried that they don't have a game plan for the SmackDown women's title. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't want to waste too much time on this, but it seems likely to me that they will add it.
We don't have the United States title on the line. Rey Mysterio...
It was just defended on Monday.
Yeah. I mean, that could be their explanation, but Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles and Randy Orton are all on this kind of feud thing, even though Orton's not feuding with Mysterio. Drew McIntyre was kind of feuding with Randy Orton, and then they went right back to the idea that he could just beat up other people, which is like the theme of this year, which is, hey, let's give McIntyre a push, and then 2 weeks later, nah. Let's just have him beat a couple, jobbers or something. And then I
don't know if I said it on air,
him.
but he's like 7 foot Dolph Ziggler right now. Like, yeah, he's totally a big deal. He's a big deal, I swear. But we're not going to do anything with him.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. So we might get something like Orton versus Styles. They might just announce that and just say, like, hey, there's an extra match. Or we might get, like, Mysterio defending the title against somebody. Do you guys think that's happening? Because I don't think that any of that's happening, actually.
I think even if it's on the kickoff show, AJ is going to hit Randy Orton with a chair, and they're going to do a chairs match. I'm surprised they haven't announced the chairs match already.
No, there won't be there won't be anything to do with the United States title on this show.
No.
I don't think so.
For that matter, I'm hoping that they don't have a chairs match on this show.
Well, they don't really have anything. They have 2 TLC matches and a tables match, and that's it. The rest of it is all just standard matches.
Again, I've said it every single year since they've done it. TLC should not be a pay-per-view.
Well, to be fair, it's following the same format as Hell in a Cell now, in that not every match at Hell in a Cell was the Hell in a Cell match, and not every match at Elimination Chamber is the Elimination Chamber match. Now they're just doing, okay, so TLC means that we do two TLC matches, and the rest of it is just a standard show.
Yeah, but again, TLC matches are just ladder matches or no DQ matches. There's never been
then we
an
have
explanation for it.
So we have 2 ladder matches and a tables match.
Yeah, and it's like...
So I think a ladder match will be added to the card, and I think they'll add at least one chairs match, and whatever else they do. Not everything has to be. I think it was the year that Cena and Orton fought in a TLC that there was no other gimmick match outside of the one TLC match. That I don't like. If you're going to do a gimmick pay-per-view, you might as well do it bountiful, and with TLC, there's a lot of room to play.
Well, I kind of want to jump ahead and backward at the same time here and say another thing that we don't have on this card is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. But I have an explanation that I think could happen. So, other than that, what matches do we not have on this card, or people that are missing or whatever that you guys feel could potentially be put on there?
It's hard because I'm not really watching Raw or SmackDown at the moment, so I don't really know what the feuds are going into.
All right, well, then I'll jump in since you're not watching the product.
It's difficult. It's too difficult at the moment. I can't help it.
We make it hey, guess what, guys? The Viking Raiders are defending against the OC. I can see that happening.
Well,
it's already been announced that the Viking Raiders are defending the titles.
And it'll be the OC. Okay, that's odd to me. I think the SmackDown Tag Titles will be transformed into a ladder match. I think we may get some kind of a segment between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, since that's the major Raw feud that they're not doing anything with. It's hard to tell because there's a lot here that they're definitely saving for Rumble, but I also think this is a show that needs some star power on it.
Well, for instance, I am very much hoping, at the very least, that they don't add a rematch between Andrade and Humberto Carrillo. Because to me, that's just pointless. If they put that on the kickoff, nobody's going to give a shit. And when you don't have the U.S. title on the line or the Intercontinental Championship on the line, for instance, rumor has it that their plan was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman is dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. And if that's the case, then maybe that's why they didn't do it. But they also didn't do anything at all to set that up over the past bunch of weeks. They had that one segment before Survivor Series about Strowman sort of taking over for Daniel Bryan with that feud, and they never followed it up with anything. So I've said this a million times, it's not that hard. They very easily could have continued that feud, and they didn't. So I'm not looking at that as being anything that really that they'll add. I mean, they might do something. They might have Mustafa Ali get some Intercontinental title shot, or Shorty G or something like that. They could very easily just sort of go, all right, we're going to put these people in a segment on SmackDown, and then by the end of SmackDown, we're just going to announce it. Or they could have Sheamus want to do his return and have him fight somebody. I'm leaning more towards the idea that that's going to be on SmackDown rather than the pay-per-view, but it's a possibility. But more so,
I really want to see him, bro kick the crap out of Shorty G and just say that's the stupidest name I've ever heard, and then Shorty G is never called Shorty G again.
I'd like to see him go against a heel and take people by surprise, because it's right now he's talking about Ali and Shorty G and I want to take back SmackDown for the big guys or whatever, and be like, you know what? If I know your trajectory and you're just going to beat the crap out of them for the next couple of weeks, then change it up. Do something different. Go after Sami Zayn.
So what you're saying is you come back as the new Funkasaurus?
Sheamus is on a roll. I don't know, maybe. So
Could they do a Elias versus Drake Maverick
Oh.
guitar on a above a ladder match?
I mean,
I
they could
think
do
that
some
is
kind of
the
a
worst.
segment. I don't think that they're going to do it on TLC, though. I think that they're going to keep that more towards SmackDown.
Yo, that is bad. That is a bad angle.
It
It's
had
perfect for the
some...
Batista return.
It has some, like, fun elements to it that get ruined. Like, I liked Elias being a babyface and singing some songs to make fun of Drake Maverick. What I don't like is when you have them go in the ring and he fucking spanks him. Then I'm like, all right, this is Vince. He thinks it's funny if the little guy gets spanked. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Fuck Vince.
But we do know that the Raw Tag Team titles are going to be on the line. We just don't know who is going to face the Viking Raiders because it's an open challenge. Now, I am very much in the mindset that I think WWE is purposely making this a mystery because it's more interesting than announcing who it's going to be. And I think that they did that with Survivor Series because partially they didn't know what their plans were going to be, and partially because they wanted to test out to see what that would be like. And it would not shock me at all if this becomes a regular thing, where Survivor Series, we didn't know what was going on. War Games, we didn't know what was going on. This one, we've already got a match where we don't know what's going on. The Royal Rumble, they are always going to leave some stuff up for speculation because the Royal Rumble, they never announce the 30 people. So you're going to get like, well, it's probably going to be around these 20-something people, and who knows who else will be a part of it. That's your mystery. That's your big angle. Elimination Chamber comes around. This is, of course, ignoring like Worlds Collide and Takeover Blackpool and all that other kind of stuff. But Elimination Chamber comes around. If we get some other kind of a TBD type of thing, then I think it's a 100% a mandate that's been going on of we should have at least one who knows what's going to happen thing for each pay-per-view. Because if they announce the Viking Raiders versus question marks, or if they announce the Viking Raiders versus the OC, which one's more entertaining? More intriguing, I should say.
I mean, question mark is on a roll in NWA, but I don't know how he's going to do against the Viking Raiders.
To me, you give people the idea that they can let their imaginations run wild, and they're going to be so much more excited than if you just go, it's the OC, they're having a match. And you're running the risk of disappointing people, if that's the case. So,
Well, WWE never runs the risk of disappointing people.
That's a given. There's no risk.
Why would they ever want to like purposely dissatisfy their audience?
Well, any rational business person would think that, but we're not dealing with logic here.
Well, goddamn, pal, you can't apply logic to an illogical situation. This is the WWE.
Well, here's something that's interesting about this situation. People looked at the URL for the graphics on the Viking Raider situation, and spoiler for anybody who doesn't want to know about this, they had tagged it as Viking Raiders versus Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. And that's very random. And
do you think I mean, I don't think that's going to be the match. Do you think that they might have just taken the original image from that Raw match, which was the Viking Raiders versus
very much so,
and just didn't change the description?
Yep.
100%. And I know people are going the whole like, oh my god, it's mystery partner because it's South Wales subcultures, even though we don't call them that because we don't like tag team names. No, I think that it's just the metadata kind of thing. And the rumor going into this was that it was going to be the OC, and they flat out said on this past episode of Raw, the OC is gunning for the Raw tag team titles. So it's like, that's the most obvious thing. However, here's the thing I wanted to go back to from before. There is a chance that they go with AOP. And I'm starting to think that maybe that's how they do this, and maybe the OC is a red herring. What they could do is one of two different things here with the AOP. They go with AOP, they win the tag titles. We're just going all in on this whole idea. Like, let's give them all the momentum. We want Rollins and AOP to be a big thing. So, man, they even beat the Viking Raiders. And then we could do at Royal Rumble, we could do like Viking Raiders and Kevin Owens against AOP and Seth Rollins. And we could do these tag team matches over the course of whatever. And, they can play around with that kind of crap. Or they go with AOP, and the entire purpose of this segment is just to have Rollins and Owens in a brawl and stall the idea of them having their actual singles match. And this is a way to get them on the card and further that and give them clips to show on Raw and SmackDown, but not actually have the titles change hands and not have anybody win the match, because you could just have, like, the two teams are fighting each other. Rollins is there, Owens is there. The referee goes, it's a no contest. I've lost control of this whole thing. And in their mind, they look at that as being like, well, we're giving them these two big hulking tag teams, and we're giving them this big brawl, and Rollins and Owens, and isn't this fucking great 20 minutes? Because it devolved into a big, I was going to use the phrase Donnybrook. Why? Jeez. Am I that old?
It's going to evolve into a Donnybrook.
Yeah, and then, we can all party afterward, have a big box social. And, so it's either like they beat the OC, or they lose to the AOP, or brawl segment. That's why we get everybody on the card. I'm very much thinking it's one of those three. I don't think at all it's going to be Andrews and Webster.
Yeah, that sounds like it was just laziness and a mistake.
Would you be shocked?
No.
I would probably assume that it's going to be the OC. Mainly because, like, how many months ago did they win that tag team gauntlet and they never received even a match with the Viking Raiders after that?
That was Halloween. So,
yeah.
A month ago.
Yeah.
A month and a week. 2 weeks.
Yeah. And wasn't it there some sort of, during the European tour, apparently Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins won a match which earned them a tag team title match which they've never received?
Yeah, Randy Orton and Ricochet got that one.
Oh yeah, because they did get cancelled. But they're still owed that match then. So,
what if, like, one time it came around where they just sort of played catch up, and they were like, all right, this person hasn't gotten their title match, this person hasn't gotten their title match, and all that, and they're going back to like 10 years ago, and everybody is like, all right,
the Highlanders start popping up from some
like that kind of thing. We figured out that Trevor Murdoch was owed a tag team match, so we're gonna bring him in from NWA, and
at least we know it's not going to be the Street Profits.
No, I mean, they already beat them in 4 minutes on Raw for some reason, so highly unlikely that they're just going to do another thing like that. And I don't think that it's going to be anything that is like super crazy. It's not like Jeff Hardy's going to return, and it's going to be the Hardy Boys.
It can't be the Colognes because one of them got suspended. So,
but he's still employed.
Out of the goddamn... it's going to be too long at this point if we wait until the hot tags to talk about that, but Bobby Roode and Primo Colón getting popped for wellness policy violations. Apparently there hasn't been a violation since 2017.
Which I find hard to believe because Jinder Mahal was champion at one of those points. So,
conveniently didn't test him.
Yeah.
But
and Brock Lesnar's been around all that time as well.
He's special treatment. That's a different story when it comes to him. But, like, we were just talking the other day about, like, how the hell have the Colognes not gotten released yet? And it's like, because they not only want to keep them, they also want to double check that they're not violating the wellness policy? Like, what the hell is that all about?
That's a very weird pop for this. And I don't know. It seems like they're destined to stay on the roster forever at this point.
That's legitimately one of the most shocking things that have happened this whole year for me. Is just they have done absolutely nothing with Primo, or Epico for that matter, other than dark matches in February. They haven't talked about anything with them this entire year. They haven't been a part of any, like, photo shoots on WWE.com. Like, they haven't done guest spots on the Bump. You know, they're not a part of, like, the big brawls for Survivor Series or in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal or the biggest Battle Royal or any of these kind of things. And it's just like, all right, the one thing you've done this entire year, you wait until December 10th to get a wellness policy violation for one half of your tag team? What the fuck is that? Like, that is so random. Now, we'll talk about the Bobby Roode thing when we talk about the Reigns match, but man, it's weird. Did not see that happening.
Yeah, very strange.
Let's see what we got else. We got a tables match. It's tables, ladders, and chairs. People just decide, like, we're starting using this things because it's December, so we got a contract signing of sorts. It was a divorce signing, and somebody gets put through a table because everybody gets put through a table when it comes to any kind of contract stuff, which leads to Rusev versus Bobby Lashley. And, I hate this so incredibly much. The only thing I wrote on the website apparently is, if this storyline were personified, I would hope that it would get injured. And that's like, that's all I bothered to do, I guess. I hate the overacting. I hate the whole, I don't know why we're doing this soap opera crap. I don't think it's good soap opera crap to begin with. And I really don't care. Tables matches can be fun sometimes, but I don't think that these two are going to have a really good match.
This is weird. This whole angle has been done very differently than a lot of things on WWE TV. They have gone out of their way to avoid having these guys in the same ring together, one-on-one. They have gone out of their way to be as filthy with the language that they use. There's also weird spots where, like, Lana's just overacting to see how far she can go with, "You broke the law!" You know, it's just like, what has this whole thing been? Rusev is wearing Bob Ross shirts and Donald Duck shirts to his own divorce. Perhaps the weirdest thing of all is that they actually signed the divorce papers, and it wasn't like, no, we're going to hold off on this and put those papers above the ring in a ladder. So, in character, they are divorced. Off screen, Rusev hasn't signed, Lana has. So I don't know if there's anything to read into there. But this whole thing is weird, and oddly enough, it's really working for casual fans. Like, these YouTube numbers are ridiculously high. The place blows every time Rusev is on the screen again. So
this angle blows. That's what
this angle blows, but you know, it's working. So kudos to them, I guess. I hate the whole thing. Lashley looks like a dork. Lana's just stupid, and Rusev is now the common man that everybody loves somehow. He went from the super athlete to the common man.
This angle is complete Attitude Era trash, and that's why it's working. Because as try as we might to escape it or try and claim that we're any better, essentially the vast majority of wrestling fans are a bunch of reality TV watching, beer swilling NASCAR fans who don't actually appreciate anything to do with culture or good writing. They just want to see women screaming at each other, getting their tits out, and like having arguments with their relatives on television.
Woo! We do things different in Tennessee.
And the black guys getting attacked as well, so they're probably appreciating that side of things as well. But
you know, I saw Ford versus Ferrari the other day, and I have zero interest in NASCAR, or I mean, it's not even a NASCAR racing; it's the Le Mans or whatever.
Yeah,
but I'm not a car guy. I've never been interested in anything like that. Like, even when people talk about, like, oh, if I were rich, I'd buy a boat. I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do with a boat? You know, like, it's just none of that kind of shit matters to me. And I watched that movie and I'm sitting there going, this is such a dad movie. Like, this is very much either the dads go to see this or it's the people that are all like that, woo, NASCAR, that kind of shit. And I ended up actually enjoying the movie quite a bit, oddly enough, like for the actual drama of the whole thing. I'm like, damn, all right, I'd recommend this to some people and all that. And then I see an angle like this, and yeah, I very much think that this is the whole, like, you know, they make fun of it on Something to Wrestle with the whole idea that people are watching it and they're like, you know, I know that some of this shit's fake, but that stuff's real. I mean, they're getting that divorce, you know, she cheated on Rusev and like all this. It's just like, oh, come on. Awful.
It's appealing to the lowest common denominator, and the lowest common denominator is responding to it. And that's why.
I like heel Callum. I am with this.
This isn't heel Callum. This is pipe bomb Callum. This is Callum coming for the CM Punk thing where they think I'm the heel, but I'm actually telling you like it is. It's that's just that. I'm not trying to insult people for what you are, and you know what you are. Leave me listed. And it's totally fine.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. They don't know what they are.
No, but I want to say there's nothing wrong with what they are either. They're totally, look, it's not my thing, but if you want to do those things, then that's totally fine by me. And if you like this angle, that's totally fine by me as well. But doesn't mean that I have to enjoy it. And I can't say that I have been enjoying it, but I understand why it's definitely getting the attention that it is getting, because it is it's something that has been plucked from like 99, 98 television and just plonked into the middle of 2019. And obviously it's getting attention because of that, because it just doesn't fit the mold of everything else, which is so sterilized and so, like, I don't know, this, like, the women's empowerment movement, and just like where it's focusing on work rate and all that other stuff. Whereas this is just pure, like, you could see this fitting between like Mark Merrow and Sable from 97 or whatever. Like, it's very much what the old WWF used to be, and they've decided to do that, and it's worked because loads of people pander to that sort of television. So, and it's gotten Rusev over again. Rusev keeps getting over and over and over again, and they still will never do anything with him. Like, the stuff that he has managed to, like, the sort of crap that he's been given, he's managed to deliver and work with and like make the best out of it. I'm not saying that this angle is great by any shakes of imagination, but Rusev's been the best part about it.
Oh, easily. I mean, he's been the only good part about it. Lashley can't cut a promo to save his life. Lana's overacting as if she's trying specifically to downgrade her acting quality to go from doing movies like, I don't know, Pitch Perfect, I think was the name of the thing that she had done before, where she was like actually like a mainstream, like they made a fucking series out of it kind of thing, to being like, man, I really want to start getting into like porn acting. You know, like just the bottom of the barrel type crap that you see that's not even worth $1 in the bargain bin at Walmart type stuff. But Piranha 4D, like, you know.
But Rusev is like this again, like the stuff that he has to work with, he's still managing to come out. He's now as popular as he ever was. And so in that regard, despite how like awful the whole angle has been and how poorly acted and poorly written and all that other stuff, it's worked. And so, and this is a match like 2 months. You can't say they haven't built this one up. It's like 2 months in the making. So they haven't cheated us
more
yet.
Build and more general interest than arguably anything they're doing on the card. So again, it works. It's stupid, but it works.
This is 100% Paul Heyman, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because this is the remnants of the whole Maria Kanellis thing that they didn't do.
I think it's either Heyman or there's someone on his writing staff that's had really who's had a very bad relationship. Let's put it that way. That's ended pretty badly with like them leaving it for. I assume maybe one of them has been cucked more than once in their life, and they're just trying to to demonstrate that on
Express this
TV.
on TV.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it interesting that they did this whole thing with Mike and Maria, and very quickly Rusev was a part of that? And then they just decided, like, well, we're going to go in this direction, we're going to do this, we change these players, and here it's still a Rusev thing. So it's like, I don't know, like, maybe actually Rusev pitched part of this or something. Like,
maybe Rusev was meant to be the guy with Maria, and they were still going to do the whole, Rusev's a sex addict, and Lana might have been the babyface in this situation, but they were like,
in a parallel Earth, maybe she's the babyface, and
maybe thing with Maria goes off properly.
Well, I thought they were always going to push the idea of they were going to go further with the Mike Kanellis Maria cucking angle, but she was actually pregnant, so they couldn't go as far as they would have wanted to. If she hadn't actually been pregnant, they could have just used that as a storyline thing, then they probably would have gone further with that. And so they just decided to transition. Okay, so we can't cuck that married couple. Let's cuck this married couple instead. And just threw Rusev into the mix.
We're just cucking everybody in WWE.
Did you guys see the whole CM Punk thing on Backstage last night? Where his pitch for this idea?
Oh, yeah, where he talks about how it should be that Bobby Lashley eventually gets sick of Lana as well. So they form a tag team between Rusev and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah,
and
like,
then
that's brilliant.
I like this whole for anybody who doesn't know. This is the whole pitch that he had. He said what he would like to see them do is Rusev wants out with this whole Lana thing. I mean, he very clearly the past bunch of episodes he's been like, "You can fucking take her," like that kind of thing. So eventually Lashley will get sick and tired of Lana as well, and then they'll become bros because they'll be like, "Oh, that bitch. Did she do this? Yeah, she did that with you too," like that kind of thing, which I know full well how that works. But and then that Lana would get a tag team of some sort to go up against those two, and then even the tag team would get annoyed with her to the point where they would do a match at WrestleMania where she would be in a shark cage above the ring, and the losing team would have to keep her. I think that's amazing. And that immediately made me go, fuck, CM Punk's been out of the loop with this for the past bunch of years. And the very first thing that he pitches, for the most part, I'm like, God damn it, give him like a writing job or something.
Well, that's because he understands wrestling. Imagine that.
The only bad thing about that angle is the idea that it seems to end in women's enslavement. So... But I'm sure they could work out the kinks somewhere down the line.
No, because Lana's pitching like, you're not losing, you're winning if you get me.
Yeah, and the only way I think that the bad thing about it is where do you go from there? Because at that point, why would anybody want to keep her? They're specifically trying to win so they don't get her. Then why wouldn't they just fire her?
You just gradually phase just the team out, because at the end of the day, all you would be doing is just doing that for the one match at WrestleMania in the moment at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then you just phase that team out.
He said that he had an idea for how that would continue afterward for the
Saudi
Arabia show, which that immediately made me go, oh, now I'm really interested, because we know how Saudi Arabia is when it comes to that. Like,
they just leave her there. Skits of like trying to sell Lana off and better.
That could have been its idea, which to me, it's like, you know what? I really want to hear this out. Just they're not going to do it.
They do that, and then they go back like for the next show after that, and they find her. Like, so she just come back because she's just been stuck in Saudi Arabia for like 6 months.
And she's been on the tarmac waiting to get on her flight. Oh my god!
Yeah, good times.
Well, I am not the biggest fan of this whole setup and all that, but I think that they're going to continue it, and I think that in order to continue it, they're going to have Bobby Lashley win the tables match.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
So we have Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. This storyline came about because Aleister Black has spent months asking somebody to pick a fight with him, and Buddy Murphy goes, "How about me?" And Black goes, "I don't know." And they wait a couple of weeks. I really hated that. I thought that was so stupid. And I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Black is somebody who I feel has legit star potential, not like, The Rock, but I think that he could eventually be a world champion someday. Buddy Murphy is a push away from being a solid Intercontinental United States champion. Both of them great in the ring. They could have a hell of a match, and I feel nobody's going to give a shit about it.
No, this is like the opposite of Rusev versus Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. As long as this doesn't get put on the kickoff, you can expose a lot of people to Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black. And if they do this right, everybody's going to walk away a star.
Well, if they wanted to expose them, they'd put them on the actual TV show that people watch rather than the pay-per-view that a few 100,000 people might tune into and tune out of eventually.
Fair point.
Still, though, there's that whole perception that if you're on the pay-per-view, you matter more.
I guess so, but it's just... I mean, this doesn't matter, really. I mean, it could be a very good showcase. If they're given 10, 15 minutes to work with, they'll produce probably the best non-gimmicks match of the entire show. And that would be great for both of them, but I just don't think it goes anywhere beyond that. Because Buddy Murphy, after this, will just fade back into obscurity. He might pop up every now and again to lose a match to, I don't know, Kevin Owens or whatever in a squash or something along those lines. And Aleister Black will go back to behind his door, never to ever emerge. until someone knocks on it, and then he fights someone else who didn't knock on it, and then comes back and fights that guy again.
Have they not had fun with this where he's not been backstage and some stagehand knocks on the door and then he's just like, all right, we're fighting. It's just like, I just wanted to tell you that like your match is coming up or something, like, you know.
I would like to see like him like beat Buddy Murphy, and then you see him walking backstage and he tries to get into his room, but they've locked it. And so he just like he's now can't get inside his door. Or he tries to knock it and then he knocks on it and there's someone else in his place now instead. And that's the big, like, who is now the person
who is in my room?
Now Aleister Black is the one who knocks for. But yeah, I just see this as very inconsequential.
We're telling a hell of a story about knocking here.
Where Black gets the wrong room and he unintentionally starts to enter the women's locker room and they're like, "Don't you knock?" And then he's just like, "Oh my god,
no,
knocking."
they knock for me.
So I'm worried that this is going to be the bumper match where we're going to have like, I don't know, like the women's tag title match or something that's going to be like more grandiose, more of a spectacle. And then they're going to do Black and Murphy as like, all right, well, this will be the bathroom break for everybody else. And then go into something else. And that's going to kill them.
I mean, they're up against a wall here, but at least
tables, ladders, chairs, and walls.
Yeah.
It's a wall match.
It's a wall match.
The up against the wall match.
Well, as you can see, we've made so many jokes just in the brief time we've been talking about this match. It doesn't feel like a big deal, but I still think it can be so much as long as they're given time.
Fundamentally, wow, my voice, Jesus Christ. Fundamentally, if I'm 12 years old again. Fundamentally, the in-ring portion of this has so much potential just because of how good they are in the ring. So it's like, if they give them a good position, they give them enough time, and they let them go out there and just have a good match, it's still not going to probably be the type of thing that steals the show and that's like the big talking point heading into Royal Rumble or anything, but it could do them both really, really well. And I hope that they actually let them succeed. If they set them up for failure, they're going to fail. And then that's going to screw up one or both of them. Because then, in typical WWE fashion, it'll be like, all right, well, we gave you nothing to work with, and we purposely hindered you, and you didn't somehow work against the odds, so clearly that means that these two aren't stars, and we're going to lose our faith in them. I hope that doesn't happen. And, by the way, I'm going Aleister Black.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Black will win.
Very quickly, I'm going to toss out a plug for anybody that's interested. There are the merchandise shops on TeePublic and Redbubble for the A-Mango tees, the Fanboys Anonymous, and the Smark Out Moment stuff. And I am going through one by one each design for all those things to make sure that all of the different merch products are available for everything that's out there. So if you want to make sure that you pick up a water bottle for this thing, or a tote bag for this thing, or whatever that is, there's so many different types of varieties and lots of different designs, and there's some different designs on one thing and the other thing, because some of them have been taken down on one spot, not on the other thing, and I'm obviously also taking consideration for any design ideas in case they have something in mind that like you guys want to see. So, hit that up if you're interested, and check it out. So, let's move on to the SmackDown Tag Team title match. It's the New Day against the Revival. And if you believe the rumors, it was supposed to be the New Day against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, or Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Yet, they decided to go in a different direction, and I wonder if that has anything to do with that whole wellness policy thing.
I think so, and I also think that's how Roode ended up getting stretchered out by Roman. They actually did an old school, like, hey, we'll just write you off.
Yeah, I kind of think that that's the same scenario, too, because they did that angle, and they didn't do it with Ziggler. Like, if they would have followed it up and did that with Ziggler, then it would have been like, okay, Reigns is knocking out the two people on the side, and that's why he's going to just have only King Corbin against that. Not the case. So, the New Day and the Revival, to me, I hate to say it, but I'm a big fan of both these tag teams. I know that they can have a good match, and I don't give a shit.
Well, yeah, because they gave you no reason to give a shit. They put a fatal four-way together with like three teams that could actually have an intriguing match that we haven't seen before, and they just went, yeah, we're going back to the Revival. Because you already know. It was weird to me that they bothered to give them TV time to cut a promo about, we're old school and we're going to do this old school. And I'm thinking, 2 out of 3 falls? But no, just we're going to do it old school. And hey, it's going to be a standard tag match that we saw in September and probably also in October.
So the Revival, they've got 6 months left, realistically, or at least one of them has. I know the other one got time tagged on because of the injury that they suffered. So you only have to assume that they'll just like pot around having a few of these tag team title matches here and there, but they won't actually win anything between now and the time that they're eventually released. So I obviously don't see them winning this match, and I can't say that I'm super excited for it because it'll be a good match, but it comes a point where you see a good match enough times. It seems to happen with the New Day a lot because they just don't build enough like fresh tag teams to feud with.
They never got that Hardy Boys thing, too.
That sucks.
No, and they've kind of just been. It's the issue with. Not an issue with the New Day because New Day are great, but it's just the fact that because they've been the staple for so long, it means they've just gone through everybody. And it's kind of like, how many times can you really watch them fight people like the Revival? Even when the Usos come back, like they could have one good match with the Usos, or like many good matches with the Usos, but that would just be. It's almost like they'll feel, okay, so we got the Usos back, we can put them on SmackDown. That's our entire tag team division sorted then. Just do the New Day and the Usos and put that on repeat for about 6 months, and then we're good. And
then it'd come WrestleMania. Well, we need to figure out something. So New Day and Usos and Heavy Machinery and Revival. There we go. Yeah. 4-way. Yeah, we got everybody in part of this. And
yeah, it's just one of these things that I don't want to hate it because, like you say, these guys are all great, and this match will probably be very good because that's what they do. But it just doesn't have any pull for me to if this match is on the card, like if this was the only match announced on the card, I wouldn't watch the show probably. I mean, I would probably end up like if people told me how great the match was, I'd go back and watch it and repeat or whatever, but I would never. This wouldn't be a driver for me to watch this. If I had better things to do.
There's no hook to it. That's the thing.
No,
like, we've seen the match not only once before, but multiple times before. So
I think it's a ladder match. Well, I said it before. I think this gets switched into a ladder match.
that's where they need to do something like that, because they need to have some kind of a segment on SmackDown where the Revival are saying that they want an old school match, and the New Day suggests that they do a ladder match because, hey, it's tables, ladders, and chairs. Why don't we embrace the spirit or something like that? It's December. Everybody wants to do this. If we had
The most old school of matches, the ladder match.
like if we had a kendo stick chaos in March or something, then it would be like, all right, everybody just uses kendo sticks and around heading up into March. But
My favorite pay-per-view.
like, why not do something where you have a quick promo segment? Because they drag that crap out too much. It just needs to be a minute and a half long or something like that. But like, Revival and the New Day argue about whether it should be a regular match or a ladder match. Then they go, I tell you what, how about we have a match tonight on SmackDown and the winner gets to pick the stipulation.
Hey.
And then you do, I don't know, fucking Big E against Scott Dawson or something. And Big E wins. And it's like, all right, well, this match is now a ladder match. And then at least we're going to see a ladder match at that point. Like, that could be fun. Then I'm actually interested more in it, even though I still
You don't sound very interested, Tony.
Well, I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen, and I'm worried about that. I think that this is going to be another buffer match, and that sucks, because New Day's better than that, Revival's better than that, and the titles stay exactly where they are.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And that tractor pulls away. Let's see. We have another match that's for tag team titles. The Women's Tag Team Championship. The Kabuki Warriors are defending in a TLC match against Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. We talked about this a little bit when we ran down the whole Monday Night Raw setup, so I'm not going to repeat the same like lazy setup kind of thing with dragging this out and all that. But I am underwhelmed. I ultimately think that this is all just about them not having a challenger for Becky Lynch. Because really, if you look at the Raw side of things, they have Charlotte, which we've seen 1,000 times now, and I never want to see again, for the most part. We got Natalya, which we already saw at SummerSlam. An injured Ruby Riott. An injured Nia Jax. An injured or no longer returning Ronda Rousey. The not returned yet Liv Morgan. It's like the Naomi's not doing anything because the Usos aren't doing anything. There's nobody on Raw. So they've pretty much had to do this because they have no other options. And the match itself could be great. I mean, Asuka and Kairi and Becky and Charlotte, they're all talented as all hell, so this could be an amazing match. And the TLC element to it, you throw a bunch of hardware at them, then that could be even more fun. Especially since that's better than just having a regular tag team match. But I don't really feel like I'm going to come out of this happy. And
What would make you happy, Tony?
if they just had better matches. Like, I kind of feel like it's a no-win scenario. Like, if Becky and Charlotte win, then the tag team titles are just going to get ignored, or the Raw Women's title, it's going to get ignored. And I don't care to see them be the tag team champions. I especially don't want to see them be tag team champions and lead to a match between the two at WrestleMania. Absolutely not. And if the Kabuki Warriors win, I feel like it's going to be through some kind of shenanigans, or it's some kind of be like some bullshit where Charlotte and Becky argue and they have a match anyway, or something like that, where then it's sort of a waste. Because if you do anything that leads to Becky versus Charlotte, I'm going to be disappointed.
I've got bad news for you, Tony. I think you're going to be disappointed.
I fully expect to be disappointed. That's the thing.
Becky and Charlotte are going to have another match between now and Mania. If not the Mania match. I don't think that's their plan, but I also can see them being backed up against the wall again and having to go with that match. I think this is great. I think Becky and Charlotte being the women's tag team champions are great. That gives them an excuse to be on every show. And whether we want to like it or admit it or whatever, Becky and Charlotte are probably the two biggest stars the company has right now. If you can get an opportunity to have them on every show, they damn well should be.
I'm not offended by the match by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're four of the best women's workers you've got on the main roster, so you definitely should put them together in this type of match. It's history making, as they always like to say, so it's got that going for it. There's seemingly four women without any kind of rationale for fear, so they'll probably have some pretty insane spots lined up. Imagine like a massive elbow drop from the top of the ladder through a table at some point. Charlotte will go for a moonsault. I imagine Charlotte could go for a moonsault, miss, and go through a ladder or a table as a result of it.
I see a disarmer with a ladder, kind of, or like a chair, being, in between the arm,
or a figure eight using like against either through the ring post or through a steel chair or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even an Asuka lock with one of the with a ladder in between both of them. That could be quite a cool spot. There's quite a few good things they can do, and I'm pretty sure they could all pull it off. Even if, well, to be fair, actually, Becky and Charlotte are fairly experienced with ladders now after doing some Money in the Bank ladder matches and TLC matches in the past.
They had a triple threat TLC with Asuka last year, and it was great.
Yeah, and you're just adding Kairi Sane into the mix now, which can only make things better. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the match itself. The match itself, I think, will be fun. I'm not as convinced about Becky and Charlotte winning the title because I think the real, as Tony says, part of this reason of this match coming together is probably due to the fact they haven't built up a meaningful challenger for Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Well, if you have the Kabuki Warriors win, you've set up two challengers for the Raw Women's Championship.
Hey, what if we just go in a circle and Ronda Rousey pushes Becky and Charlotte off the ladder again?
Well, realistically, I think that this should build up Becky versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Royal Rumble. Because that was the match last year that Asuka's the last person to really beat Becky Lynch one-on-one. They should have done this match already by this point, especially with Asuka and Kairi Sane being heel for the last few months. So maybe not that immediately, but they should be building towards that match because that match has a history behind it, and it's not like it's going to be super meaningful, but it's more meaningful than a lot of the matches they've put together for Becky so far in her title run.
I'll even go so far as to say I wouldn't be shocked if they have no plans of what to do after this one, too. Like the whole dragging out multiple other storylines. I am a little bit nervous that their mentality is, which we've seen many, many times in the past, and Rob has called attention to it, that December is kind of a dead zone. And I think that is kind of twofold. It's partially, it's the holidays. Once we hit Thanksgiving, people don't want to do work. And they got Christmas coming up, and they're just like, you know what, I'm fucking done with it. It's cold outside. I don't want to do this work. I'm bitter. I'm salty, blah, blah, blah. And I think that a part of it is also them saying, oh, Royal Rumble's coming up. That's easy. And I don't want to do all that work and all that. So it wouldn't shock me if their game plan is to just kind of rinse and repeat and keep this going and then not have anybody fight Becky Lynch at Royal Rumble, oddly enough. Because we've had that in the past, too, where the champions didn't defend the titles. So I'm thinking it's either Becky and Charlotte at Royal Rumble just to do something, or they keep this feud going just to do something, or Becky still has nobody and they're just waiting for the Royal Rumble to happen.
Becky is the only woman, and not that I think this is happening, but if there was to ever be a Women's Royal Rumble for the title, I can see Becky cutting a promo being like, I've beaten everybody. Everybody just needs to come for the man at one time, and I'll even start the Rumble and defend my title. If they had literally nowhere else to go following this match. That being said, I like Callum's idea. I do think they should have done Asuka and Becky already. I think the reason they haven't is because you have to get Charlotte on everything for some reason. And for that reason, I think the Becky and Charlotte are winning because that gives them free reign. You can do the tag team match with Bayley and Sasha again, but do it for the belts. You can do so much different things here that I think that might be the safest bet if you don't have, a Ronda match ready or a Shayna Baszler match ready. It really depends on what they want to do with Becky and Charlotte going forward.
Who's in the rainforest?
That would be me. For some reason, they're directly across from me. There are these 4 birds that are just like watching me.
Like this is some fucking
fucking Snow
Amazon
White
jungle
mix.
shit going on or something.
Snow Rob. But I don't see that there's a fair justification to why Charlotte Flair should be involved in this, in the fact that Charlotte Flair makes matches better. And,
no doubt.
And I mean, some people who are big Becky Lynch fans will disagree with me, but that handicap match between Charlotte Flair and the Kabuki Warriors was twice as good as the handicap match between the Kabuki Warriors and Becky Lynch. So it's there is something to that. I think out of the 4 of them, just based on like my eye test and what I've seen of them in the past, Becky's the weakest wrestler out of all 4 of these people. Yet she is the most over. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but I just don't really see, like, if you have Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair win the titles here, there's one of 2 ways it can go. One, it leads to them feuding for the title at WrestleMania, which seems like there's always a potential for that to happen, but I'm pretty sure most people are sick of that by now. And the second one is, will they just drop the titles in maybe even like a week or 2 later, and it was just a one-off thing just so they could get the tag titles on Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and the titles just go straight back to the Kabuki Warriors, and then you build up Asuka versus Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble past that point. Still with no idea about who Becky Lynch is going to face at WrestleMania.
I think that there's a very good chance we get some kind of a title change towards the end of the month, and if they want to do that kind of a thing, they very easily could. Or they could do the same thing after the new year. They could, towards the way on the road to the Royal Rumble, they could do something like that. And I ultimately feel like either they have no plan right now, or they have a plan and it requires them to stretch things out, and they're just kind of being lazy and not trying to think of something else. Or there's something weird going on, and once we get to, maybe it's Royal Rumble, maybe we have to wait until Elimination Chamber, but once we figure out what they're going to do for WrestleMania, this is going to be clarified. It's either going to be they had no idea, they were just shooting completely random targets, or they were setting up something like, maybe it is something as simple as like Ronda Rousey pops up and pushes them off and they want to just do a rematch and they're just being lazy like that, or I don't know, but I'm getting more and more and more nervous about WrestleMania with a lot of these different feuds. And the Becky Lynch situation, that was one of the ones that last year they had said right out of the gate, we have a plan. It's not going to be Stephanie. It's not going to be Ronda. It's not going to be Charlotte. We have an idea of who she's going to fight. And this year, I'm like, you know what? It's December 11th. I feel no confidence in anything happening that I feel would be a big deal that they could have thought back to last year.
But you know what? December of last year, we had no way in hell of thinking something like Kofi would happen. So it's not like something can't pop up out of the blue and be really good.
Yeah, but you can't bank on falling ass backwards into something.
No. And I sadly think they might sometimes. But I definitely see Becky having a major match that's already set. It's just a matter of whether the rumors are true about, Vince being that down on Shayna following Survivor Series, and they decided not to do that, and if Ronda's healthy. Because until I see otherwise, Ronda winning the Rumble is my thought process.
Well, there is also the Shayna Baszler thing to talk about because Rhea Ripley is going to get a match next week for the title. And if they want to put that title on Rhea Ripley and take it off of Shayna Baszler to open her up to winning the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, they very well could with the December 18th edition of NXT. And that in itself, I mean, that's going to be after TLC, so we'll know what happens to TLC by then. But if we get a title change, then suddenly it becomes that she's the number one contender to bank on. And then who the fuck knows what happens with SmackDown, then it's a whole nother story. But there's part of me that also thinks that maybe Charlotte and Natty end up winning the tag titles. Maybe that's just something that they come back to, and they put, like, I don't know, say you do Becky versus Shayna at Mania, you do... I have no idea about SmackDown. Probably a Fatal 4-Way or something like that. And then the Women's Battle Royal, and maybe you do the tag titles, and it's like Charlotte and Natty against the Kabuki Warriors, against the Iconics, against Fire and Desire, or something like that. Against Bliss and Cross, I don't know. There's lots of different possibilities, and I just don't have faith in any of them. That's the best way to put it. So, gun to my head, I'm going to say Kabuki Warriors retain, but I don't feel confident in that either.
I'll also go for Kabuki Warriors retaining the titles.
Kabuki Warriors?
What
good for Cocoa Puffs?
The Cocoa Puff Warriors. The Kimchi Warriors.
I'm gonna go with Becky and Charlotte win because they're the biggest stars the company has.
The Bukkake Warriors. There we go.
Tables, ladders, chairs, and oh my god, what's that?
Throwing objects all over the place.
It's a 6-pack challenge.
What a finish.
Val Venus comes back for the money shot.
Callum is on fire today.
We have 2 more matches to talk about for this card, but before we do, I want to throw out another plug about the Patreon. The Patreon is Patreon, so do Patreon stuff.
There you go.
Obviously, if you do not know all that stuff, the breakdown there, go ahead and check out the different tiers we have going on. Even $1 goes a long way, especially with the more people that do that. So that's all greatly appreciated. Whatever spare change you got, $5 gives you the ad block forgiveness. $10 gives you the mailbag priority, which that takes place next week. So if you want to send your mailbag questions in over the course of these next couple of days, that'd be great. So we can answer that next week. And if you donate towards that $10 tier, then all your questions that you ask for the mailbag will all be answered, at least as far as if they're within reason. Again, we're not going to tell you like our passwords or something like that. But, a lot of people send in questions and we don't pick every single one of them. So maybe you want to make sure that we answer some of those things. And if that's the case, mailbag priority. That's what it's there for. There's also the Darkcast tier. And I've set up some graphics for that. I still have a couple more that I have to do and some template kind of stuff that I'm doing. But I'm hoping that at some point over the next week or so that I might be able to record something for a Darkcast. And the way that is that's Patreon exclusive. So the only people that will be able to listen to those podcasts for whatever they are, I don't know about the material, like what the content's going to be. It can be random. Could also be potentially voted on other people, especially if I reactivate the $25 tier, which gives you the option to vote on what you would like to see that be the case. It's a good way to put a little bit of power in your hands. And the best way of having power in your hands is the Pick Your Poison tier. And with that one, you get to actually pick some kind of a special feature, some kind of a gimmick, some kind of a, it's an editorial or it's a list or fan outs table or any of those kind of things like that you would like to see us do. That's a tier that's worth quite a bit amount of money. So if you do that, then by all means, I will do everything that I can to make sure that we do that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind and apply the same thing to Fanboys Anonymous, because that is my site for geek culture content. And anything that you see going on Smark at moment, there's pretty much an equivalent of some kind when it comes to Fanboys Anonymous. You know, it's not obviously the same segments because we're not doing like, you know, call the spot for fanboys or something. But, you know, the more content that I could do for fanboys, the better. And there's also plenty of different things happening over there. Like I spent a little bit of time yesterday sorting out my Fanboys Film Awards. I still haven't seen Jumanji yet because it hasn't come out yet. Same thing with Star Wars. But I've set my ideas of who I would give the best picture to, who I would give best supporting actress, like all those kind of things like that. So stay tuned for that on, I think it's Christmas is when I'm going to be posting that. And there's 6 Flicks picks, and there's the option to do like fan tracks and, you know, do a round table discussion about Christmas movies. Like, I don't know, there's any kind of random things that you can think of. So if you want more of the movie reviews and the geek culture, video game, TV, comic book type stuff, consider donating to the Patreon for Fanboys. All your support's greatly appreciated, everybody. So, let's go to the Bray Wyatt versus The Miz match. Apparently, non-title. The fuck's that all about?
I want to talk about what the fuck is it all about. That Funhouse Bray Wyatt just is suddenly attacking people.
Yeah, I guess it's non-title because Miz hasn't earned a title match.
When has that ever mattered? Hold on.
Well, I'm
Does that
trying
ever
to
matter?
give him some kind of credit.
Nah, they don't deserve it.
No, they don't. But, you know, it's like I'm trying to inject some of my own logic into it. When was the last time Miz even wrestled?
Why is that? Is he injured? Or anything?
I don't think that they have any plans for him. That's the case.
Well, they had this plan for him, and they apparently had this plan for him for Survivor Series as well. So they've just pushed it a month later. We still haven't seen Daniel Bryan since his shaving. So
that is something to consider, because they had Firefly Funhouse Bray announced for Miz TV following Crown Jewel, not The Fiend. So it seems like maybe they wanted to do this particular match a while ago, but it's just so weird that you interjected that right as Bryan and Wyatt are doing a thing.
I don't even necessarily care about the idea that they went with this whole, like, let's put Bryan on the shelf and do the Miz thing. I just don't get why it's non-title. There's no explanation for it. There hasn't been something set up to say, like, well, if you earn this, if you beat this person, then you can make it a title match. Or that the Miz has said, I don't even care if it's for the title or not, I just want to fight you. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing storyline related that means that this is non-title. Well, and if Bray Wyatt wins, then there's no reason for it to be non-title because it could have just been for the championship anyway. It pretty much has to be that the Miz wins, other than it's a swerve to try to make you think that the Miz will win, and they're just playing around with people. In that case, though, like, why? Like, if you're just going to have it be, oh, you thought that the Miz was going to win, and Bray Wyatt won anyway, then it's like, well, who the fuck cares? And if the Miz wins a non-title match, who the fuck cares? Like, you know, because it's non-title.
I mean, it realistically should just be a set-up match for Bryan to return and attack Bray Wyatt. Either that's during the match or following the match, or it helps Miz win or whatever. I could very much see them going further down the line and maybe at Royal Rumble doing a triple threat match for the title.
I feel like they have to do that, and he has to kind of fight both Miz and Wyatt. Like, maybe he's, like, deranged and he doesn't know who he wants to fight or something like that. Maybe. But it has no rational explanation for me that why this title's not on the line. Either Wyatt retains, which the title should be on the line, or Wyatt is specifically not putting the title on the line so he can lose to the Miz, which I don't understand why. Like,
well, because the other Wyatt is just a Mr. Rogers, I'm just goofing around type character, whereas the Fiend is the killer out of the two of them. So really, it should be this is the vulnerable Wyatt.
But that's the problem having it somehow isn't and this Wyatt is just as evil and creepy, and apparently wants to be with the Miz's wife.
Yeah, this is like the weird. Like I think this thing you said earlier about why is this Wyatt attacking people now? Like the other Wyatt was supposed to be the pacifist out of the two, and the one that was trying to keep the Fiend
Yeah,
at
wasn't
bay.
he the one that was like when Seth Rollins literally showed up to the funhouse, just like, why are you doing this to me? Don't hurt me. Now he's just like, oh, I'm gonna beat up the Miz, and by the way, I want to be with your wife.
Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to get with other people's wives on these shows now. I don't know why that's now like the theme of 2019.
It's not a Merry Christmas for somebody in that writing staff.
Imagine that's the case. Like, there's 20 people sitting around a conference table, and somebody's like, "All right, like, yeah, it's like Triple H or somebody's just like, all right, I need some ideas. We need to figure out some character work here. What do we got for like Matt Hardy?" And somebody's like, I don't know. I mean, we could do the broken thing or whatever like that. And somebody's just like, he's a cuck. They're like, wait, what? Yeah, his wife's fucking somebody else. That bitch. I don't think
she just had a new baby, but it's not Matt's baby.
I don't think we're gonna have Rebby Hardy be a part of this. So let's not do that kind of storyline. You know what? Let's just put a Matt Hardy on the back burner. How about Rusev? He's a cuck. His wife's fucking Bobby Lashley.
Michael, what? Shut up, Michael.
Yeah. You don't understand. It's a great storyline. You got this real bitch who doesn't take anything seriously, doesn't appreciate the guy at home. He takes out the trash every Monday night, and then it's just one of these things that he's flipping out about. You're like, hey, Mark, can you see a counselor or something there, buddy? I don't need to see a counselor. My wife needs to see one. Goddamn, like. I'd be more interested in that storyline. Just watching that dude fucking flip out.
We have plans for Andrade and Zelina going forward. Break them up. No, no, can't be together.
You want to go with the whole Charlotte and Andrade thing? No, break them up too. Real life.
No, let's go with the Andrade Charlotte thing. But the really interesting thing is that she's cucking him. He's the cuck.
Fuck,
Raw
Mark,
is just a bunch of cucks.
Everything's coming back to this. Can you at least work on something that can't possibly be related to that? Like, I don't know, The Miz versus Bray Wyatt? All right, fine, I'll work on that. Throws at his script. It's like, the fuck you got this now that Bray Wyatt wants to fuck Maurice? God damn it.
All right, that's it. We're scrapping Elimination Chamber. It's now called Cucks in a Cage. We're just going to do that instead.
God damn it.
You could pretty much do that now. You could just get Ellis, Rusev.
But are they just in the cage, in the pause, while their wives are fucking other guys in the ring?
There is enough people now. If you look, like there's Mike Kanellis, Bobby Lashley, Rusev, Andrade, The Miz, I guess at this point, Bray Wyatt, like
Seth Rollins, can get Becky cucking him as well.
Yeah, well, she is the man after all. I think didn't Maria say Becky should fuck her instead?
Oh yeah, that could be the whole big reversal. Is the one that like Seth is the one that's like cucking Becky instead, like a reverse cuck.
You get Vince McMahon to do the whole promo for it. Cocks in a cage. Just like, God damn it! All because the Miz isn't fighting for a goddamn title. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so stupid, and I feel like it's just another stall tactic thing. And the fact that the title's not on the line just drains this from me. Like I honestly don't care anymore, and it sucks because I'm a big fan of the Miz and Bray Wyatt's a thing. So like, it's just that's a shame. This should be so much better.
And I can't say I'm looking forward to this match in terms of just it's pretty much. I'm not the opposite of Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy, but I don't have high hopes for this being a technical classic. If they prove me wrong, then more power to them. But I just don't think the combination of a Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt, and The Miz is really going to produce a 5-star classic.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wyatt's winning here, and I think Bryan might get involved unless we see Bryan somehow announce that he wants to fight the Fiend, and that match is for the title. Because you could do that too. There's nothing
Like
necessarily
just
saying that you can't.
2 matches in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had two scenarios. Obviously, this is before we're recording this before the final SmackDown of before leading into TLC. So either that SmackDown turns it into a title match, which for some reason they decided not to do in the build up to it, or like it's just a non-title match and Bryan gets involved towards the end. I think either way Bryan gets involved at the end.
Yeah.
But and either way I'm going to go Bray Wyatt wins regardless.
Maybe and this is a stupid idea, so I hope that they didn't think that this, if they do it, I don't hope that they're not like patting themselves on the back and being like, oh, this is a great idea, you know. But maybe their game plan is Sweater Bray Wyatt isn't threatening, and the Miz beats him kind of quickly, and they just want to make sure that that's not for the title because they don't want the title to change hands. And then they do the Bray Wyatt switch over to the Fiend, and Daniel Bryan comes out, and there's some kind of a fight and whatever, and maybe that's their plan, is being like, well, the Miz beat Bray Wyatt, but it was a non-title thing, and he deserves a title shot, and Daniel Bryan deserves a title shot, so now we'll have a triple threat at Royal Rumble, but since we wanted to make sure that it wasn't, the title didn't change to the Miz, then we needed to make it a non-title match, and like maybe that's their way around that, but that's convoluted, and it's, why are you booking yourselves into a corner like that when you could very easily just say, I don't know, Daniel Bryan didn't answer his messages over the past week and he was scheduled for a title match. We need to declare a new number 1 contender. The Miz beats fucking Cesaro. You know what I mean? Like,
then you're getting into weird things of like, they keep doing this locker room leader terminology now where there's no general managers, there's no on-screen matchmakers, but there is locker room leaders, and that's how you know like who the top guy is and who has the most stroke within the locker room. I've heard Lacey Evans use that term. I think that's how they reasoned Seth Rollins being Raw team captain. So you can't even do a story like that because there's nobody to say, well, Bryan wasn't answering his phone, because there's no matchmakers.
That would just be the commentary team then.
Realistically, in terms of like a long-term thing, they could have just avoided this situation by saying that the Fiend is the Universal Champion, not Bray Wyatt.
Because he won the belt.
Yeah. Because Bray Wyatt actually hasn't won the belt. The Fiend won the belt.
Although, if they did that, then they should have thought of that ahead of time because they have 2 belts.
I know. Well,
so
they don't think of a lot of things ahead of time, it seems like. So, I don't know why they would start here. But, it's just... It just feels like a weird match when the title's not on the line. Maybe you are right. How quickly do you think that Bray Wyatt, he go from Sweater Bray Wyatt into the Fiend?
Like a quick change costume thing? I don't know. That's tough because if he wears that singlet underneath the sweater, then it's not all that hard because then he just has to throw the mask on and put the coat on and
I just wouldn't
off.
I would just, if that was to happen, I would just get a stopwatch going as soon as the lights go off. Just see how long it takes.
I'm going to have the stopwatch ready to go just in case the lights do go off.
Well, that'd be cool if it just went off and then it's like he comes back as he's there as the Fiend and he's about to do the move and then the lights go off again and then there's Bryan attacking him. Bryan with I assume half his hair missing at this point. I'm still pretty curious about what Bryan looks like now.
I'm assuming it's full on Ring of Honor, fully shaven, fully bald.
I'd find it quite hilarious if it's the I think it was in 2000 they did this Ric Flair losing his hair in a stipulation, but by the time they came back his hair had all grown back, so it didn't matter anyway. So it's just the same Bryan, but he's just been gone for too long that the hair's just grown back on its own.
Yeah.
What if they just have somebody else come out? Like EC3. It's wow, Bryan, you look so much different.
Yeah.
He comes back
in America.
He comes back and he's Bryan Danielson now.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they could have some kind of a weird angle up their sleeve. They could just make this be the stupid thing where they didn't have any kind of a plan and they just are I don't know, fucking non-title. We don't want to do work in December,
They could do.
But I'm gonna go Bray Wyatt.
I was just thinking maybe they could do a storyline thing where Brian comes back, but he's got a version that's the Fiend called the American Dragon or something, just to play on his old gimmick. But yeah, but then you're in this weird pseudo universe where every superstar has an alter ego that performs a lot better than them, and you're just thinking, well, why aren't you just that person all the time?
Like the demon.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go with Bray Wyatt winning this one as well.
Yeah, me too.
For that matter, just because it's happening in a couple hours, nobody's really going to be able to listen to this too much ahead of time, but let's throw out a prediction for NXT. Tonight we're going to get a number 1 contenders match between Finn Balor, Keith Lee, and Tommaso Ciampa. Who fights Adam Cole next week? I think it's Keith Lee.
I think it's Keith Lee. I think Gargano comes back and takes out Balor. I think Ciampa's getting it at TakeOver, so I think it's got to be Keith Lee.
Yeah, I probably would say Keith Lee's probably the favourite, just because I think it's going to be either him or Ciampa, and it's more likely to be Keith Lee because he's kind of just risen out of nowhere to be a top star there, and you could have Roderick Strong interfere in the title match, and that leads to a North American title match down the line.
Perfect.
Bingo, that's what I'm thinking. We have one more match to talk about here. It's a TLC match because it's December. There's no other reason other than the fact that it's just TLC. They haven't set up anything ahead of time that really makes it a TLC match, but Roman Reigns is fighting King Corbin. It's at least not a dog collar match like the rumor was. Lots of dog food involved, though.
It's the big dog.
So
I'm kind of more into this than many of the other matches on the card. Like, I feel more confident that this will be a fun segment, despite the fact that the feud's got its flaws.
Yeah, it's one really big flaw that's standing opposite Roman Reigns in every segment at the moment.
Don't make fun of Bobby Roode that much.
I just this is a pinfall TLC match.
Yeah, which again, TLC matches, for anybody who does not think so, TLC matches are only ladder matches if they grab the championship or the briefcase or whatever the fuck. It's just a ladder match that they happen to use a little bit more chairs and a table in it. And if it's got pinfall or submission, it's just a no DQ match that they only use those 3 things. So fucking stupid. I hate it.
Well, it's just that you're guaranteed tables, ladders, and chairs.
That's just so dumb, though. Like the whole chairs match thing. It's like, it's a chairs match. You can use chairs.
No, that's bad
no DQ.
Because you can only use chairs. Anything else will get you DQ'd.
It's retarded. I hate it so much. But like the whole idea of this being like a pinfall thing is like, all right, well, you might as well just call it a street fight. It's a street fight.
They've done this before, right? They've done this with, I want to say, Ambrose.
They've done pinfall TLC matches before.
Yeah, they've done at least like 5 of them.
Yeah, I mean, they did one. Was it the Shield against those 5 guys?
The Shield match. They did
Shield. The original Shield against like when they were starting out against Team Hell No and Ryback was a pinfall TLC match. So it's not without precedent. It just feels a little
lame.
Like why is this match a TLC match? Other than the fact that they have to have TLC matches on it, like why isn't this just a chairs match or a tables match?
Because they want to put Roman in the main event.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about this last. I'm pretty sure that this is a main event.
Either way, even if the other TLC match goes on, it's because they want to put Becky and Charlotte in the main event. They had to get specific characters in the main event, and the only way you do that at TLC is to give them a TLC match.
No, I understand it with the women's one because there are titles on the line.
Yeah, at least they're grabbing the belts, and they bothered to use the weapons in question going into it. With this one,
you could do something. You could do build something from like the stupid. What was the gimmick that didn't Corbin empty a can of dog food over Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
So can you just have a can of dog food hanging from the top of the ring, and the winner gets to pour it over the loser? Yeah,
but then you're entering like Triple H and Kevin Nash. Hey, we're gonna hang a sledgehammer above the ring. Why don't you just get one from underneath the ring and fucking hit the guy with it?
Well, no, it's not. That's more about humiliation as opposed to. It's not exactly they're going to get hurt by pouring the dog food over the person's head. It's just. I mean, realistically, why isn't the King of the Ring on the line in this match?
Why isn't this a big dog kennel from Hell match.
I'm sure Kennel
now you're
was
talking.
discussed.
Yeah. But, yeah, just... Like, really, what has winning King of the Ring done for Baron Corbin?
Give him a crown.
Yeah,
And a
exactly.
worst
Something
stuff.
for his head. That's about it.
He's still wearing the same, like, stupid
No, he
outfit,
is
pretty much.
actually
really.
wearing gear now, right? Like this, he's wearing gear again.
Well, he's wearing a tank top and the
he's got
slacks as
tights
opposed to a
on
shirt
now.
and slacks. I mean, that's not reason enough. You can just change your outfit at any point in time. That's not
He's got
enough
a
reason
crown to
that he
cover the
should've-
bald head, Cal, and that's what it is. They're bald. He's bald. They don't like it. They cover it with a crown while he's not wrestling.
It's just, I just can't get into this one. I can get into on board with the idea of you need to have Roman Reigns beat someone fairly prominent to like build him up, because it's very likely that he'll be challenging against the Fiend at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. So you have to start building him up from somewhere. But why is it always Corbin? Is there no other option?
Infatuated with him, I think.
Well, yeah, Vince is infatuated with him because he thinks that he's what is it? Completely like women can't resist him. I think that was like the rumor going around. It's just like Baron Corbin.
Japanese women, I think.
Yeah.
Right, or Chinese women. I forget. It was one of the Asian countries, right?
What? They specified a country.
I don't know if he specified it specifically, but I know that there's like rumors go around that he just thinks that Baron Corbin is like all the women want him, so they need to push him hard.
I think it was Japanese
That's
women.
so weird.
I'm pretty sure it was one of the two. It's either Japanese or Chinese, but it was something where it was like they went over to Japan or something, and the women were like fainting because Baron Corbin was in the room, which just becomes like a whole separate thing.
I mean, I'm sure many people fall asleep when Baron Corbin walks into the room, but that doesn't really mean that he's super attractive.
Well, what's weird about that whole situation is you would think, based off of the track record in WWE and Vince McMahon and the fact that these characters have existed and the whole idea of like, you know, even Undertaker was talking about it where he's like, I said I'd sing in the shower, then I'm like, oh my God, they're going to make me shower boy and whatever. Like, you would think that if Vince heard this story and if this thing, you know, happened, and I mean, they showed clips of like the people and stuff like that, which is just like insane. You would think that instead of giving him a King of the Ring, that they would have given him some sort of ladies' man gimmick thing, and they would have been joking around about that, right? Because they did it with all the other people.
If it is Japanese, they would have stuck him with the Kabuki Warriors. Like, they love
that,
this guy.
or you know, feuded him with Carl Anderson over his hot Asian wife.
There you go, more cucking.
Well,
maybe that's the original pitch.
I mean, they have done stuff in the past where he's either been like not exactly romantically connected, but he's had segments with Alexa Bliss when they were both general managers, and the stuff with Lacey Evans in the build up to their tag team match at Extreme Rules and stuff like that. So
now I'm just picturing like on like a plane ride, having like Vince sitting there with like with Corbin, being a whole like, let me teach you something here, son. Like, you know, like the whole you gotta take life by the throat, and you know, like you gotta, you know, kick some ass out there, and you know, you're a ladies' man, you get it, you know, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and that same writer is still there too, and he's just sitting there going like, I got completely different ideas of how women's relationships work and stuff.
No, I imagine that writer's just sitting on the plane and he's looking at all the married couples sitting next to each other and he's just playing mix and match. So he's just like moving them around.
Or stewing in his seat, just like, you think you're in a fucking marriage?
I'll show you.
Goddamn day, I mean, same goddamn heated up meal. I gotta thaw out my fucking hot dogs. Poor guy. We need to give this dude a name.
Barry.
It's been the elephant in the room the whole time.
Definitely the elephant in the room WWE right now. It's just like the guy running all the storylines.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Barry's horrible marriage. He needs some tender love and care, not tables, ladders, and chairs. Roman wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they are stretching this out to the Royal Rumble, but I imagine that Roman.
Even then, if you're stretching it out, Roman can still win.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, this is obviously going a lot further ahead, but Roman's winning the Royal Rumble probably, or he's winning an Elimination Chamber to get a match at WrestleMania for the title. So he shouldn't really be losing right now.
And the more I think about it, the more I think Reigns wins the Royal Rumble, and Owens, if he does get that Brock Lesnar spot, which it might not even be the case, then Owens wins Elimination Chamber. But we'll see. Obviously, we'll see what happens in TLC this Sunday, and we'll be doing the coverage and the post-show podcast following that. It's the last pay-per-view, not only of the year, but of the decade. And I don't have the biggest amount of faith in the world that they're going to end with a bang, but you never know. Sometimes the things with some lower potential end up being great. Some things with high potential end up being horrible. It could be somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Wow, this entire decade has had TLC pay-per-views.
Really?
Yeah, it started in 2009.
Huh. Strange. Way too many of these. Shouldn't have ever been a thing. And obviously, we will be breaking down not only what happens there on the post-show, but later on, after we do the mailbag next week, the week after that is going to be the Smark Out Moment End of the Year Awards. So we're going to factor in what happens at TLC into our whole, like, what the whole year was like, kind of setup and stuff. So check the website. If you want to be a part of that, start thinking about your lists already. I mean, you can't really be a part of it as far as, like, the podcast goes, but, you know, if you want to leave your comments and get your whole setup going about, like, who you think is the best on-screen personality characters that are on the extra side of things, or, you know, the best ring gear, or the worst entrance, or any other kind of different categories. We're keeping the same categories as last year, I'm pretty sure. So just check back that and start working on your list and stuff, and send in those mailbag questions, and stay tuned to all the things that we got going on. Follow the Facebook and Twitter at Smark Out Moment. Hit up that Patreon. Check out the merch shops. Check out Fanboys. Read the articles. Check out all the other things that we got going on too, because it's not only just my plugs, it's also what these guys have going on. Callum, it's one of them. Go ahead.
Okay, so big thing towards the end of the year, or it's been going across the entire year, is 2001 A Wrestling Odyssey. We will have our final edition of that this month for December, where we'll talk about Vengeance 2001 and a few other bits and pieces of news. So essentially, this is the real period where WWE just transitions over into
a juggernaut.
Yeah, a juggernaut, or just a single organization ruining wrestling for the rest of us. And yeah, that's basically where we are now. Only now we have AEW at the very least. And
so if WWE is a juggernaut, then what is AEW? Sabretooth?
Well, they would be the good guys, I guess. So they're beasts.
Colossus?
Yeah, Colossus.
So check out that, and if you want to listen back to all the other ones, they're all on the YouTube channel and the podcast feed. So listen to those. You should read all the wonderful weekly articles on smarkoutmoment.com, including the Power Rankings, which is my weekly contribution. And follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14.
And you can check me out on Twitter at DudeFelice. I'm also at DudeFelice on Instagram. If you want to see everything I'm doing across Fightful, WrestleZone, and anything else, go to robertdfelice.com. That's a good centralized hub. And yeah, that's it for me. Barry, any plugs? No plugs from Barry.
I was sitting there trying to go, how do I make a fucking elephant noise?
Probably butt.
I don't know.
Probably butt plugs to cut.
Well, we really hope you enjoyed the Tables, Ladders, and Cucks 2019 Pay-Per-Viewpoint. Fun times.
Very fun times. I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Obviously, leave your comments below and tell us your thoughts on all the stuff that's happening, and enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you on Sunday. So, that's it for now. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.